there hasn't been any senior official actually being banned from this, these shenanigans that we've witnessed. But here's the latest one. 10 years. Tell us what is happening to this former FA president. Again, it's very worrying when you see former FA presidents receiving this kind of ban, whether it's 2 months, whether it's 10 years, but it actually raises cause for concern when a former FA president, when the FIFA Ethics Committee hands down that judgment and says, here's 10 years that has been given to Malinzi. Yes.
No, good evening, Elasto, and good evening, colleagues. I mean, it's just, in African continent now, this news is just, we always get this news after 2 months, after 3 months. There's something coming from one association or the other, But it's not a nice thing. It's not a nice thing.
In your country, the coach as well. You are accustomed to this.
No, we're not accustomed to it. We mustn't be used to it.
You must be.
It's things that we need to sort out.
He knows, they've been there.
No.
And twice.
But
Twice.
no, the second one couldn't. We make sure we make sure. Yeah, we make sure we put a number 6 there. But this one is just a situation that he's still in prison. By the way, he's still in prison. It's coming out. Yeah, it's coming out this year. It's coming out this year.
It's coming out. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's coming out. It's been there for 2 years now.
Yeah, for 2 years, yes. So, but we don't know if it's coming out or not because maybe they're using this for one thing or other. But I just think there's a lot of allegation against him. I mean, which is not right. No one condones those kind of things, So, but I just feel like this shouldn't be happening in African continent every time because after 2 months, 3 months, there's one story for one federation to the other, there's this, there's that. But 10 years, I think, there's nothing again. After if coming out from the prison, there's nothing, you must just handle. But one thing for sure, the president of the country, which,
You are talking about the state president.
The state president. There's some, okay, I got some, some
yes,
insiders
information
from Tanzania there, It's about, okay, the president supposed a team, particular team, but he's a club owner. He's a club, like he has a club that he supported in Tanzania. That was last 2 seasons. I forgot the Simba and the other
Yanga.
So they won the league. The last day of the league, you're supposed to Simba's supposed to get a win. They drew. And Yanga won. So, and since that time, there's a lot of confusion in the country there. And the parliament, some people support Simba more. Yes. There's majority that support Simba, and people don't really want him to be the FA president. And that was just by the way. But the real fact of the story, they feel like he have embezzled a lot of things. That.
All right. Even if people don't like you.
Yeah.
As long as you are guilty of
that's what FIFA.
Fraud. No.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether people don't like you. Actually, once you have become a thief,
you don't want to like these things do happen in the continent, which is not a good thing. We don't condone it. You understand? There's one way or the other. There's some rough, there's some hand changing.
Yeah. My understanding of this case is that when the incumbent, the current president came in.
Yeah.
It was alleged that maybe Malinzi was aligned to the previous regime.
Okay.
And especially there in East Africa, sometimes when everything changes with the governance,
everyone it must go together.
Exactly. And my understanding is that from the time when he was arrested, it was along those lines. That it was not necessarily that he seriously embezzled the funds, but because the people that he was with belonged to the previous regime. And there were these moves now of trying to unseat him. And I remember at the time, Tanzania was doing very well.
Very well, yeah.
They had just even been awarded the under-17.
Yeah, under-17.
Of course, at the time.
Yes.
And Malinzi was leading a process of also even building a new team. If you remember, they were taking the under-17 around. And in fact, it's even said that even with the qualification of this team, that was at the AFCON recently.
Yes, they qualified for the AFCON.
The spade work had been done by Malinzi's executive committee.
Yeah.
Now,
Led by a Nigerian coach, Eminike. Just to put it there, sorry.
Continue, please.
yeah.
We-
So my understanding was that him being imprisoned and even the way in which they've dealt with him in prison,
Yeah.
because the case has never been listened to.
That's the thing.
He's yet to face trial. It's been 2 years.
And it's coming, if he comes out now, he go for ban.
Yeah, it just goes on to prove those allegations that this was a politically motivated case in the first place.
Okay.
And as much as we're discussing the issue of the FIFA ban now,
Yeah.
but I, for one, I've gone to a stage where I don't know when to take the FIFA Ethics Committee serious or not. Because in the past, it's been proven that it's only about they are chasing people whose allegiance sometimes is not with the present regime. I mean, you can look at a number of cases.
Yeah.
You look at the current case of Musa Bility.
Even Ghana.
You know? Yes.
Nyetachi.
Yeah, you look at that case of Bility. Bility, he has an issue with CAF or with the alleged takeover of FIFA at CAF. And then FIFA Ethics Committee, they come up with a ban. They said, no, this was ready in February. But they come up with it in July when this man is against FIFA. You understand?
Yeah.
No, so those things, I am not saying Malinzi should be exonerated from this thing.
Yeah.
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 But I'm saying the legitimacy of the FIFA Ethics Committee, it leaves a lot to be desired.
Tim, we hear what these other two gentlemen are saying, that there might be more than what meets the eye. But now looking at the reason, what are the reasons that are coming from the FIFA Ethics Committee to impose this 10-year ban plus monetary fine of almost $500,000 US? What went wrong on the side of Malinzi? Because yes, we understand the local political situation that might not have been favorable, but he had a case to answer when it came to the FIFA Ethics Committee as far as they are concerned.
Elasto, as we sit here and discuss the issue of FIFA, I understand, when we are always found guilty, we always try to apportion blame. Few would like to say, listen, I would like to face whatever is being thrown at me and prove my innocence.
Yeah.
So we have Jamal Malinzi being appointed on the development committee of FIFA. So they are responsible for dispersing funds in that category to develop football.
Yes.
So he was part of that.
Over the whole world,
over the whole world. Okay. So now their monies are in a tune of around 500. I think it's 528,000 US dollars that he cannot account how he dispersed to which development goals on different countries. So in that, there is no political attachment. No one is after him but himself. Because once you can't give accountability, you take full responsibility, irrespective of any other factors. For in this case, he's guilty until he proves otherwise. The political setup, whatever stories can come up, yes, we hear them. But what are you facing in this particular moment in time? We are not about the political issues. Yes, we understand football on the African continent cannot go without the political inclination. You always have the ruling government trying to have that backing and supporting sports because they know that you have a very huge voting bloc. So they will always need to associate themselves with that.
With football, yes.
But as it comes to Mr. Jamal, he was offside. He was on the world stage and taking, the corruption. Even he was rumored to have taken the prize money for the under 17, $50,000 US.
Yeah.
He couldn't account for it. So in this moment in time, until he clears his name, is guilty.
Some of the
But
accusations
wait, how is it possible that he would have taken that amount of money? Because I think by the time the tournament was staged, he was in jail.
Okay, I think the question is,
when
I think
I mean, how is it possible?
Vele is saying.
The possibility is this.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
you may not
You
have-
see
you
the
know,
you see
you
the
may-
allegations.
you may not
You
have
know,
taken
You
you
see,
know,
these are football allegations.
Yes,
Yes,
you
but
know-
you know, the problem here
gentlemen,
is if you are the signatory,
I think
Yeah.
if you are the signatory to the
That's why,
account,
as I said,
You know-
there's some things that coming out from Tanzania, which has really alluded to. Politics is included in this. In
Yeah,
this
politics.
decision for
Yes,
me. It's
but-
definitely.
No,
but
but
this arena,
This is a case I've followed
this
very well.
Okay.
Because at some stage I was in the same group, WhatsApp group with Mr. Malinzi.
Okay.
And some of the people in fact, some of the people in Tanzania
Yeah.
that were also in the same group with us, they've even tried to go and see him in jail and they were denied.
But now, why? And the other
Okay,
thing,
no,
again,
no, no.
why is he coming out?
No,
Why
no,
now
that's
that
what
he's
I'm
coming
saying
out?
that- no,
they want to ban him. They're giving him the 10 years.
No,
they say come out and take your 10 years.
I think what we need to separate the two cases.
Okay, yeah.
We need to.
Yeah.
Unless you are saying really that FIFA and Tanzania government.
they are
official,
colluding.
There's a little bit of that collusion that is happening. But again, if you look at, you mentioned another point that you do not trust the FIFA ethics committee.
Oh yes.
So I think if you look at some of the reasons given as to why this 10-year ban has come forth, maybe that is where you are having a problem with that. There is a case to answer, of course, for Malinzi
Yes,
as far
yes,
as the
yes.
corruption charges are concerned
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
Yes.
But FIFA ethics
And
committee.
why has it taken FIFA also 2 years?
Yes.
You know, if they had this information,
look,
why didn't they
no,
actually
no,
back
no,
then?
look,
No,
now that it's coming out,
now
that they see that it's coming out.
No. There's something else to be said here.
In hindsight, the ethics committee has always taken long
Yes.
to adjudicate some
come
cases.
on,
No,
come
we have got the
on.
case of
Timothy,
Mabombo.
3
You
years.
take the ethics committee
That's
serious.
the-
No.
You take the ethics committee serious.
Let's
No,
No. I just want to hear
no,
from you.
No, you question their method of operation.
And of course they will
So
take it
I'm
serious.
trying to say,
After the 2-month ban that was received by Magogo,
no,
no, take it
this
serious.
is what I'm saying. But
2 months back.
it took them 2
Okay,
years
let's hear.
to come up to that
I mean,
verdict.
let me just read. I'm not going to read the whole judgment. Let's just listen to what the FIFA Ethics Committee are saying. This is one of the clauses in that judgment. With regard to the circumstance of the case, the adjudicatory chamber emphasizes that the FIFA, CAF, and TFF, which is Tanzania Football Federation funds that were mismanaged or misappropriated, were related to the development of football in Tanzania, even to the prize money for the Tanzania under-17 national team. This entails that Mr. Malinzi's conduct was highly detrimental to his association, resulting in the misuse of significant amounts which could have benefited all its stakeholders. They put significant amounts. We don't even get to know how much exactly it is. But anyway.
But
yes.
the problem I'm having is that, and I'm telling you,
Yes.
if we're talking about the prize money,
Yes.
when the tournament took place, the man was already in jail.
He was in jail.
So which prize money are we talking about?
But no, this is what is happening. This is what is happening. It's very important to note that during investigations, if you are the signatory to the account, you may not have taken the money, but the money is missing.
No, but here they're saying as well, FIFA, they're saying that this money was given directly to Malinzi. But also...
In jail.
We don't, maybe he was on bail.
I'm telling you,
Maybe it was in
the
faith.
trial.
That's a surprise. Like it's coming out now, and with the ban coming out, like it's
All right,
because
no,
it's coming out now.
but anyway, gentlemen, definitely there's just so much happening here. It is hashtag Frun Football. Please let us know. Maybe you're listening from Tanzania. You might need to help us here with Mr. Malinzi's case. I think it's 2 cases here. The other happening at home. And as well, this one of FIFA. Both ways, it looks like definitely he has been sanctioned heavily. Imprisonment at home.
But there's something you've
Right?
just mentioned.
Yes.
There's something that you've just mentioned. You say maybe there could be collusion here.
Yes.
Could it be the case of CAF and FIFA? Because these
Yes.
days that's just a one body. Maybe are they struggling to make inroads in East Africa?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They want to have their own men or
Yeah,
women.
because Tanzania is one of the top countries in that region.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In East Africa. So could it be there's something. There's something. And maybe to clear the way first. And also maybe there's something that they also need the assistance of the government there in Tanzania clear this path first, and then
We fix.
Clear the stumbling block.
You know, it's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
important. It's very important not to insinuate things. We should do first at the real, you know,
not in
Yes.
football.
the real
Not
elephant
in
in the
football.
field now.
Not in football.
No, no.
Not in football. Not
no.
in football.
At this moment in time,
In football, no, never.
because
I
now
disagree.
we're gonna miss the
Everything-
point. Because
politics
the
and
point
everything.
here,
not in
because
football.
what is
No,
happening?
I
What is
think-
happening here is we have the mother body, and this is FIFA. They are not investigating
take
funds
FIFA serious.
missing at the federation of Tanzania.
Yeah.
These are funds dispersed from the headquarters
For FIFA.
that are unaccounted for.
Yeah.
So that's very important. We should try to separate the two.
You see.
So if in any way is politically, conflicted,
Yeah.
then his misbehavior in misappropriating of these funds is arresting him. And that's why he's in jail
For
now.
me, Malinzi transformed Tanzanian football.
I don't deny that. But at what cost? If you are corrupt and
No, no, no,
transforming
no.
football
No, no,
in
no.
Tanzania, that's wrong.
No. You see, in football, when they say you're corrupt,
Tell us.
you must.
What did they-
Yeah.
What they mean?
Yeah.
What they- what they
No,
mean?
You must first look at the person who's saying that. You understand? You must first look at the person who's saying that. And also, for me,
So it's about it's about the system.
Yeah.
It's about in football where there are certain agendas, there are ulterior motives when things happen, and they've happened before. We
And
know
if you're not
that.
that
Exactly.
calm,
We know
I
that
think
when
it's different
someone is banned, suspended,
Yeah.
we can't just read what we're seeing.
No.
We have to dig deep
No.
and see.
And this is from experience.
Yes.
And you see, one of the things, ask yourself, each and every time there's a new group that wants to contest
Yes.
those who are in power, one of the first things they'll come up with are allegations of financial mismanagement. You understand?
Yeah.
There's no other thing.
Yeah.
And you find that sometimes when you delve deep, man, there's
But
nothing here.
Verily,
But-
history has it.
Te-
Verily,
No.
history has it
No.
that all people who have been fingered in financial mismanagement, even when it's politically motivated, they have not passed that test. They have not come up to prove otherwise that the
And
money
the very same
was
people-
well used.
And the very same
association.
people who will come with these allegations, when it's their turn, those who want to topple them, they'll
Don't
also
come
come up
again.
with the same
The
thing.
same
Yeah,
thing.
because what happened if you see this new wave, the Infantino generation that came, and you could see that again, it comes with a lot of suspensions.
Yeah.
It comes with a lot of, that is
A lot of
sometimes
federation
trying to
that's-
make sure
yeah.
that
Balance.
maybe you make sure that you've got
But
the right
already
people
there's also a lot of allegations against them.
against them.
Yeah, look,
You
So
understand?
if we have, let's say in 10 years time, we have a new FIFA president, you're most likely going to see all these bans again that would have happened during this era of Infantino.
look,
If
Infantino.
if you want to look at the Infantino regime currently, as Africans, we are here. You just look at what's happening on the continent. FIFA being in charge.
Yes.
Right now we're sitting here, Bafana is playing, and that game is not going to be seen by millions of this country.
Yeah.
That's true.
You understand? Why? Because KEF on the 11th hour decided,
The general secretary
Yes.
designate.
decided to cancel a deal
Yeah, they canceled
that they've
it.
had with Lagadia.
Yes.
And it's all is blackout for every game, eh?
Yes, it's blackout.
All right, we'll come to that, gentlemen. We'll come to that, gentlemen.
This is for me what is interesting.
We'll come to that point
The question-
as we discuss the
Yeah.
AFCON. But anyway, I think, it becomes so painful to try to explain really what is happening. At the same time, we really do not want to condone misappropriation, misuse of funds. We really want to make
Yeah.
sure that, but at the same time, we can also not be naive to the fact that
Some people
there are
take
also
advantage.
ulterior
Yeah.
motives when these judgments are being handed down by the FIFA ethics committee, which itself, yes, like Vele says, leaves a lot to be desired. Hey, God save us from this football. We want to make sure that football is run properly, right from the top there of FIFA right down to some of these member associations. But let's move on, gentlemen. And when you're listening us from home, it is #FrunFootball. We really want to engage, get hold of us, the discussions that we're having. Now we just focus on women's football. It is, of course, the CAF Women's Strategy Conference initiated by the General CAF delegate, FIFA delegate, that is Fatma Samura. Sometimes you wonder as to who is running CAF at the moment. And yes, of course, it is Fatma Samura, the Secretary General of FIFA, now trying to make sure that women's football, Timothy, improves. And there is a plan in place. There's a conference, a 3-day conference happening. Tell us a lot more about this conference.
Look, I think they had an instructors conference that took place where they had about 20 coaches coming on board. So what they are coming up now instructing, I think, is the first of its kind to be hosted on the African continent, where they are getting all the stakeholders to try and brainstorm on how best they can grow the women football on the African continent. And I think that's a very good gesture going forward. But as I always say, that these blueprints, we can always have these conferences. But as long as we don't commit ourselves to reading the game out of these corrupt tendencies and focusing more on infrastructure development, then we're going to have a problem. Because once we don't have the infrastructure, then no matter how good these deliberations are in these conferences, we shall not move forward. We need to try and make sure that we get the infrastructure right. Once you get the infrastructure right, you'll get the federations to convince the corporate companies to invest in women football. As for now, it's a good gesture going forward. At least we are starting taking women football serious on the African continent, and I think it's the right way to go.
It's a good thing, it's gonna be for 4 years, For 4 years.
It's a 4-year plan.
Plan.
It's a 4-year plan, 2020 to 2024.
And
try to improve women's football.
Okay, you have Nigeria, you have South Africa, and Cameroon. Those are the countries you see women football that dominates, within the continent.
Yeah, the ones that qualified for the World Cup as well.
And going to that World Cup, we always knew that we need to go far, because it has overdue, it has overdue for us to go far in the tournaments. Most of the time we go to tournament, we come out from the group stage, which is not acceptable, because we have quality. Most of the ladies now, they're playing overseas.
But Tiaf, if to cut you short, when you're talking about the quality is not lacking. What is lacking, we have got cases where
even what I'm trying to say.
the Super Falcons are not paying their own players.
On the pitch now, on the pitch, I just think it's a good gesture, what is happening there. But on the pitch, that's what brings your value more, because everyone see your final product. You want to see what is happening in that continent. I just feel like, from my own side, I just feel like we need to do well in most of the tournament in terms of the World Cup.
Yeah, I think before we even talk about the World Cup, it's all about the structures.
Yeah.
In the countries where we come from, and I think I was following what CAF was doing here. There's a holistic approach. For instance, the Kaizer Chiefs marketing director, Jessica Mtau, she's one of the speakers who was invited there. Yeah. Where they were talking about the commercialization side and also on the communication side on how they can improve. Right here in South Africa, we've just started the National Women's League, which is also still in its infancy stage, but at least it's a start.
It's a start, yeah.
And you look at the kind of speakers who were in this conference, So it's more about building, because I think now the next step from here, because there are other leagues that are running, other FAs that are running national women's leagues. So the next step now, I think they are going to come up with a Champions League for the
African Champions League.
African Champions League for the women's teams, And in fact, today I'm from there was a press conference. It was the AGM of the PSL clubs, the NSL AGM today, and Dr. Koza there, the chairman of the PSL, was telling us that there's a request that has already been made by the acting CEO of SAFA to all the PSL clubs about women's football, which is now apparently this could be an agenda point in the next BOG meeting of the PSL.
Okay.
So I've watched our National Women's League, and I would say that just a small group of Sundowns fans. Now picture a situation when the National Women's League, you have a Soweto derby. in terms of the attendance. You know, already yes, Sundowns is in that space. Bloemfontein and Celtic is in that space. Amatax in the Glad Africa is in that space. They've got the women's teams. But if you can just have 5 more or 6 more PSL teams in that space, because it's been proven, I've seen with the Sundowns fans, that if their team was playing on a Saturday and the women's team is playing on Sunday, they would be there to support the team. You know, so, and I mean, if you look at the growth, I was following the story of in Spain, how they've been working on growing women's football there, and as soon as Barcelona, in fact, as soon as La Liga made it possible that the teams, each team must have a women's team, then there started to be this huge following. Today, there is nothing that Barcelona does that is only for the men's team. Everything that they do, from the new kit, I mean, they've just built even a new ground around La Masia for the women's team, you know. So I think this is what this conference is about.
It's about,
Build the basis within the FAs and take it from there. Because to have a strong team at the World Cup, it will come from
the structures.
Yes. That's why for me, I'm not really entertained by having, take for instance, a strong Super Eagles team when the NPFL is nothing.
Yeah.
Because that's where footballers are coming from. Footballers are not going to come from the Super Eagles taking players all the time who grew up in Europe.
No, Super Eagles, if you are playing overseas, that's where we take our players. You must
So you need to grow.
The likes of Vincent Eyama and Dela Enyimba, they are the last set. You remember Enyimba?
Victor Osimhen doesn't come from there.
Yeah.
Chukwueze doesn't come from there. And this is the future of Nigerian football.
Future of Nigerian football. The 2 players you mentioned now, but there's still a lot of good ones there. But Nigeria always have good players overseas. They must compete.
No.
You know, the time Enyimba, I just want to give an example.
But it doesn't mean that you must not build.
No, you must build.
Okay.
But Nigerian, the NPL is very strong.
I want you to focus more
No,
It's very
the
strong.
time.
on our ladies.
Okay.
I think the point is, in terms of what, if I hear very correctly, and it's important to make sure that the structures are well functioning, are well running. Yes, there's talk now of possibly of a Champions League, which is great. But again, you know, that those structures need to be there to make sure that we've got strong leagues. We can't have only 3 nations that have got women's, you know, league programs. Now that Champions League will be just every time those teams as well.
No.
Now looking at Timothy now, I think it's good, well and good, what is happening. I think there's a concerted effort to make sure that women's football really it gets the attention that they deserve.
But the other thing again, I want to add, what will they say? I think with the club side, we're very most important. If every 16 team in the PSL can have a female team, I think we help.
Those are the structures.
Those
are the structures that hopefully we are going in that direction, team. But now I want to come back to CAF, the role of this FIFA General Delegate, Fatma Samura. Would we credit her with this kind of initiatives that are happening? Is it something that maybe CAF, because now we tend to think, since she's there, that everything that is happening is like she has come up with all these ideas. Where is CAF minus Fatima Samura?
No, there is no CAF minus Samura, Fatima Samura, because she's, you know, the general delegate, you know, on the African continent. So she can claim that.
What does this leave the CAF SG? What is he?
That is why this question is very important.
In the thick of things.
Because I want to understand the role of Fatma Samura. Remember the collaboration. Remember
because you know, not to distract you from your comment. Because even this conference, I was also reading that it's also being driven by the FIFA Women's Division.
Yes, because if you look at the people in attendance.
But So let's not miss the benefits of having her as
Yeah.
the general
That's
delegate.
one of those things we employ.
That's the reason why. That's the reason
No,
why.
but she won't be at CAF forever.
That's fine. But
Because
should
we
have
cannot-
set the ball rolling.
Yeah, because
should have
the
when you,
importance, Tim, what we're trying to get to, if you read into my question, is that's why I say that where is CAF minus Samura or minus FIFA? Because at the moment we seem to be having a CAF that is being well run by FIFA. Is this sustainable?
this is what I'm saying.
That we're going to have this? Is there something that FIFA wants from us?
It's very important to separate Fatuma Samora, the Secretary General of FIFA, and the
general delegate.
The general delegate.
She's the general
for,
delegate.
for CAF.
The FIFA general delegate.
Now,
yes.
what is important now is for her to set up the systems so that at that such a time when she has to go back to FIFA, the systems are operational.
I don't believe that.
Now, what is important?
Why is she here? It's not because
what
of
is
this
important now
situation.
as Africans now? This is a very important time to trust ourselves as Africans.
Yeah.
That once these systems start operating, like we are seeing them now,
Sustain it.
we can sustain them.
Yeah, I've got a problem with that. Very, maybe you can help me here. I really got a problem with FIFA coming to set the systems up and then they disappear and we are left with our normal way of doing things, which has proved, because for you to call FIFA, for them to send this woman who has done a great job, she's an African as well, really, but I'm just questioning the ability of us Africans, especially the executive committee. Does it continue in its way? Could it come up with such kind of initiatives that we are seeing now? Because there seem to be progress. But now when you remove this support from FIFA, it seems as if we are back to square one.
I don't think, I know that her mandate was only for 6 months.
Yeah, of which there's an option. When players
And
sign contract, they tell you it's for 1 year, but there's an option.
Yeah.
There's an option.
And if you follow, and I think they have a roadmap in terms of what needs to be done. If you follow what is happening, even with the cancellation of the TV deal, or the sponsorship and broadcast deal with Lagadier,
Yes.
it's part of the plan.
So it's like cleaning up.
Yes,
But
Cleaning out.
yes.
the question-
Apparently, there's a lot of things that they've found out
Okay.
about that deal
Yeah.
that are not right.
Okay.
And you will recall that the
can't-
deal was signed at a time.
For 20 years.
Yes,
in this current era.
And you signed that deal was signed at a time when we had a 16-team AFCON. We had
Even the Champions League,
the
groups were not the way they are now.
Yes. We didn't have 16 teams in the
Yes.
group stages like we had now. I think we had 8 teams.
Yes, with 8 teams only
back
in
then.
the groups. Yes.
But now, the deal doesn't have that option of taking into consideration that
Yes.
this is a 24-team AFCON, a 16-team CAF Champions League and CAF Confed group stages. So there's a lot of things, and also even the contracts. It's just that I don't want to talk too much. I don't want to talk too much, especially about
Disseminate
some
the
of
facts.
the broadcast contracts. Because I see now, we
have a blackout.
The unfortunate part is that because beIN Sports is back.
Yes.
They agreed. Kev spoke to them and they agreed, but it's SuperSport who are disagreeing.
Yeah, I know.
Yes. And in fact, they are even prepared to move away. But what does that mean now? Because in the sub-Saharan Africa, in terms of cable TV,
SuperSport.
Exactly.
Anyway,
no, they are dangling that as their carrot.
All right, guys, let's move on. I think just to summarize this involvement of FIFA, and like you guys are saying, maybe say cleaning up operation when they've gone, things will be in order, and hopefully, yes, we can sustain that, and not every time to be making an SOS call to FIFA and say, please come and help us. What do you think? Hashtag Frun Football, exciting as usual as we look at all these controversial issues on the African continent. Yes, another controversial issue happening in East Africa, although the drama is happening in North Africa. It is Harambee Stars the Harambee Stars right now facing a bumpy ride to their qualifications to the AFCON 2021. I'm told that yesterday they could have been evicted from their hotel in Egypt where they are playing tonight, of course, against the Pharaohs of Egypt.
Minus Salah.
But the preparations of the Harambee Stars have been nothing short of mockery. I can tell you, Greg. Financial woes. How does a team even begin to embark on a journey to go and play a qualifier without securing their accommodation? I mean, it shows.
16 hours.
It shows how much football in Kenya at the moment, especially in the national team, and all the national teams struggling in terms when it comes to traveling, preparations. Yes, Nick Mwenda, the president of the Kenya Football Federation, he's got answers, questions to answer.
We always, for me, I was the one, advocating, always saying about Nick.
Yes.
Nick has done well for the national team. I just feel like, with this current situation, it's just a little bit of a disgrace, for a national team. A flight you're supposed to take for 5 hours, to Egypt. Now they pass through through Dubai, they have to spend 16 hours, which is bad.
Why can't they charter Kenya Airways?
That's the financial problem.
They've got one of the best airlines on the continent.
I just feel Nick need to come to agreement with the government, because if you can see, there's a little bit of there's a little bit of something happening there, because
there are challenges.
There's challenges with the government, because you can't tell me that the Kenyan government cannot fly the national team. That's the national team. That's the pride of Kenya, to go to Egypt and play and come back.
No, it did.
No. I'll come to my point. Nick, I want Nick.
What do you want Nick to do?
He's making the transfer
What
forms.
must Nick do?
You need to. If there's any problem, I'm not saying there's a
What
problem.
are you saying?
I'm not
Can
saying
you repeat
there's a
that?
problem.
Can you repeat that?
I'm not saying there's
Can
a
you repeat
problem.
that?
What I saying to Nick Mwenda?
If there's any problem,
No.
and
And
the
the government.
they just need to settle it, and so that things can smoothly go on.
Tim, is it as easy as that? Looking at because I think we need to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what is happening now is a result of things that have happened in the past.
Yes.
Especially this relationship between the government and of course the federation.
Yeah.
Because the government funds the federation, if you look at it.
Yeah.
Looks like the federation cannot stand on its own. But what happened in the Nations Cup? There's money that the government gave to this federation.
Look,
but that money is not
It's not
accounted
accounted
for.
for.
You say last talk, the federation did give a
And they're
budget.
saying we're not going to help you anymore if
The
you continue in
federation-
that manner.
The federation did budget for the African Cup of Nations. Right up through, they were confident they will go to the finals. All right? That money was dispersed to the federation. As facts are laid bare, they never reached the finals. So there has to be money to be accounted for that. This is the balance.
Yeah.
We reached in the group stages. We didn't go far. This is the balance.
They didn't even count off the group.
So before, yes. So they need to
There's
account.
other things.
There were
There's
only
other things.
14 days.
So they need
Egypt, only 14 days.
So they need to account for that money. So
Half of the
now
time
this
of the
is
tournament.
and this is what is interesting. They are going back again to Egypt, and they are now there's
You are out like a
there's
pushing
a bring back of accountability.
They must use that money. They use it.
So what is happening? Nick Mwenda is trying to stand for re-election.
Yes.
Okay, now
This is
he's
painful.
trying he's trying to
This
say
is bad for Nick.
This is
no.
crazy.
So now the government.
I was sitting there the other day.
it's-
I told you.
it
This
is-
Nick Mwenda is bad news.
So this is what is happening.
No.
There's
For
mistrust. There's mistrust.
yes.
I'm very shocked that at this moment in time, Tiaf has not yet apologized.
No. If there's a
About
problem,
choice
No.
of Nick Mwenda.
Greg,
if there's a problem,
Greg.
no.
Greg, we
Let me
told
let-
you.
No, Vele.
We told you about your news.
I said,
No.
If there's a
Let me tell you
there's a
something.
Yes.
Apparently, today he sent a tweet.
Okay, Nick.
Yeah. I'll try and find the tweet for
please,
you.
Please, we want
I'll
you-
try and find
yeah,
the tweet for you,
please search for
and
that
I'll
tweet.
read it.
Yeah, you need to read it.
And now I understand that the Ministry of Sport in
Kenya.
no in Egypt,
In Egypt.
has paid for
Oh
the
my-
accommodation,
Ah.
but until tomorrow. What happens after tomorrow?
But
but the game is played
now
today, so after today, leave it tomorrow.
But that is another thing, Tim. But let's look at I think we need to make our listeners understand. So there was 244 million shillings that I'm not sure how much that is in rands that was budgeted for this tournament. Now there are accusations, there are discrepancies.
Yeah, no.
You got it.
Tweet, yeah.
Let's see what Vele is to. Yes.
And from yours truly.
Yes.
Nick Mwenda. The Stars will have accommodation for tonight, courtesy of the Egyptian Minister for Sports, Dr. Ashraf Sobi, who has intervened until after the game tomorrow. We, however, have to pay by that time.
So you has the audacity to come and tell the whole world that the opposition. I mean, this is like the opposition.
Elasto, let me tell you,
paying for
Elasto, this is what is happening.
Elasto,
this is what is happening, and it has been happening even previously. Nick Mwenda plays the victim mentality, and that's the federation versus the government. So he's trying to discredit the government that is not coming on board to fund the federation. So, to the credit of the government is that yes, they have paid. They flew the team to Egypt.
I know.
Yes,
how
they
many
did.
hours? How many hours?
No.
The flight
You see,
supposed to go
Etafia,
5 hours.
Etafia, wait.
4
Etafia,
or 5
wait.
hours. But they go for 16 hours.
Etafia,
And if you
listen.
want to have-
Those are
if
the
you want to eat
Etafia,
good pap, you
Etafia,
must eat
listen.
good pap.
Etafia, listen.
Don't say that you want to
Etafia,
have that
listen.
you want to have half.
Etafia, listen.
No, it's not possible.
Etafia, listen. Those Etafia, those are logistical issues.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm
That's why it's very
government want to come out to help.
No,
it looks like,
Etafia.
Tim, it
The
looks like,
point is, when you say the government pay for the flights,
Yeah.
remember, for them when they are doing their logistical things,
Yeah.
they don't mind traveling to Dubai and viewing the view, touring Dubai. That's okay. So they made have thought that players going through Dubai is a good thing.
Yeah.
So that's why the government has to come, the federation has to come in
No,
and
it's
say,
not a good thing for them to go to Dubai.
The
16
federation,
hours and 5
listen
hours,
to
it's a
Etafia.
different thing.
That's why the federation has to understand that they don't have the money. They need the government. They need to account for every penny and then say, listen, yes, you are funding us, but we need to take a flight that is going to take us less hours on the flight to the journey to play for the game, and that we shall be ready to compete with Egypt. Now, when you think you can take a strike and say, no, you think you can pay for the flights, take it, they took the option of going through
2
Dubai.
wrongs cannot be
Okay,
right.
now, gentlemen,
Now
I
the
was
government-
saying, look, these are some of the things that happened before, because I think we need to understand why the government is actually now being more careful in terms of releasing funds.
Yeah.
Because there was a budget, that was done before the AFCON.
Qualifiers and
But
everything.
now, look, the camp in France, gentlemen, that was for 18 days.
That was a coach room.
Now, that camp in France, if you look at who procured that camp in France, it was the agent of the coach.
Yes,
You want to go home.
So the agent of the
And
coach,
apparently the agent is Cameroonian.
a Cameroonian agent of the coach, he organizes a camp
Yeah.
in France. I mean, we said it here that
Yeah.
why are they going to France after all?
Yeah.
And they spend a lot of money. They had to play a friendly game against DR Congo in Spain. Imagine 2 African countries now having preparations in France and Spain.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's
I mean,
costly.
most countries were going to Dubai.
Yeah.
And these ones are going to Europe.
So there are all these discrepancies
Yeah,
that
true.
the federation right now, gentlemen, is failing to explain as to how this money was used. Because remember when they were in Egypt, the moment they landed in Egypt, CAF takes over. There was money that was still remaining by that time, about 28 million shillings. They are being asked what happened to that money because you did not need any money anymore.
No,
because CAF took over everything.
I think it's a serious issue.
So in a way, you know what Vele is saying about the president, that look, his bad news at the moment is not looking good. Understand even it comes to allowances.
Yeah.
Nick Mwenda was getting almost 50,000 per day shillings. Others were getting 10,000. Yeah, he's a president, but
He works very hard.
And how many people
You
were
see,
there?
this mentality of Etafia, I'm not surprised that he's a fan of Nick
I'm
Mwenda.
not saying that
And
Nick is
remember,
right.
he's executive.
Yeah.
How many went
They
to
were-
Egypt? Almost 8.
But you see,
With their PAs and so forth.
Mr.
So-
Lasso,
finding
remember
mission.
what I'm trying to say. Mr. Lasso, there's 2 ways they can sort out this thing in Kenya. They either leave the national team to keep losing.
No.
Or yeah.
They should
Because-
arrest Nick Mwenda
No,
first
no,
and
no, no.
foremost.
Give him a chance to
Which
explain.
chance?
Maybe he need more chance. He need time.
No,
to
he's
explain
committing
how.
treason.
No, he's misusing funds.
He's
20 million
committing
come from
treason.
The sponsors as
Yeah.
well. He got money from the sponsor betting.
Yeah.
He got 20
He
million
need to-
shillings.
no, that's
so,
one-
So
and
if you look at everything, this team, everyone was excited. 15 years. The
After- that's the qualified.
last time they qualified.
Yeah.
And here they were making sure that they represent the country very well.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, I
It's a lot
just
of
think
things,
that
yeah.
And,
these things need to be put right. Even now, if you look at this match against Egypt, I mean, where now your opponent have paid for you. I mean, you're compromising
It
yourself.
can be a motivation.
The-
No.
Which motivation?
And that's for the players.
And
Etafia.
they're
For the
already
players.
trailing 1-0.
Etafia,
It's not surprising.
Etafia, at this moment in time,
No.
I would like you to
All right,
to put it on record and apologize.
For what?
Nick Mwendwa is bad news. Nick Mwendwa at this moment, he has got 2 coaches who have won their cases against him through FIFA. He has to pay them.
Through the last president.
Which
Which
president?
No,
Even
not
Bobby
him.
Williamson.
He does- when he came in, he found those problems there.
No, why didn't he
He
solve
started-
them?
No.
When
Yes,
you're a leader, you're meant to
the
attack
last-
all
the
those
last-
No,
issues.
no, no. He
the-
created these problems.
The last,
one-
not this one.
the
Not
one
this
that we're
one.
talking about now.
No, the coach's one. The coach's one. This one he created.
Even-
this
yes.
this one is under
Even-
under him.
even the
But
coach's one.
is a play. They paid
no.
2020
No.
match.
Yeah.
No.
No. That's his
Let me-
problem.
let me-
He find that
Alright,
situation
alright.
there.
Etafia, let me remind you.
Mr. Team.
He went into
For that one, you cannot
negotiations.
accuse him.
All right,
He
okay.
went into negotiation with this coach,
All right,
of
gentlemen.
which he didn't keep the part of his bargain.
All right,
That's
let's-
why.
Contract of the coach.
That's why.
Let's look.
That's why it's bad
Okay.
news.
Hashtag
Nick
Frun
Mwendwa needs to be
football.
arrested.
This is African football. Definitely want to hear from you. You can send those tweets. If you are from Kenya, what are you reading into it? Yes, they are trailing at the moment. That is the Harambee Stars against the Pharaohs.
Come
of
on,
Egypt.
come on,
That's
Kenya.
1-0,
That's
yes.
no,
Come back,
there's no
Kenya.
surprise
But,
there.
now look at the qualifiers, gentlemen. Talking about action on the pitch, I think let's try to focus our attention on that. Yes, just to give an update about the results from yesterday. Malawi beating South Sudan, the likes of Nigeria, the Super Eagles beating Benin 2-1, Sierra Leone drawing with
Let's-
There's no game there,
1-1.
Mr.
Then,
There was one
then
team
of course, the likes of Cameroon, who are going to be the host of this 2021 AFCON, drawing against Cape
I
Verde.
watched that game.
Yes, Velile saw that game, Cameroon. I don't know what you think of Cameroon in the days after Clarence Seedorf and, of course, Patrick Clovate. Sudan, who are in the same group as Bafana Bafana. We're going to talk about that game just now. Beating Sao Tome and Principe 4-0.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah. In fact, South
Namibia
Africa,
won,
they
eh?
received a red card. I think it was around the 22nd minute,
already they did
and they were already 1-0 down.
Okay.
By that time,
Yes.
I mean, you could tell that this is
Yes, one of those games.
this is a country that is at the bottom in terms of rankings
Yeah.
in African football. Sao Tome and Principe.
Yeah,
Namibia-
that is
Namibia
Group C.
won.
We are
The-
talking.
the whipping
We are
boys.
talking about Group C now, gentlemen. Let's look at the big ones that are coming tonight. It is Ghana,
no.
of
Elasto.
course, against South Africa.
Elasto.
Yes, the Super Eagles.
No,
play.
that
we said tonight.
Oh, no.
we said tonight.
Let's
The
correct.
Super Eagles
Let's
play.
correct. Let's correct this one.
Etafia,
Big team
Etafia,
played
no.
yesterday.
No,
No,
this
no,
is
no,
tonight.
Now,
No, Etafia.
I
the
said
other.
tonight.
Okay,
You
tonight.
labored,
I said the
Etafia,
big-
you
the big
labored
ones.
to a 2-1 victory. You labored to the 2-1 victory. It was
Alright,
not
no.
convincing.
How many
No, let's-
points? 2-1 victory. How many points is that?
All right.
When did you last win a cup to be big?
No, let's focus.
No,
on, Let's focus
No.
on Ghana and South Africa.
2013. Okay.
Ghana and South Africa, gentlemen. Now it is Ghana coming up against Bafana Bafana. Yes, looks like the under fire Kwesi appear really struggling to impress the fans in Ghana. They're not happy with him.
Yeah.
It's a Ghana as well. If you look at what has happened in Ghana, yes, now we've got a new administration. Now normalization committee, those days are over.
Yeah.
Velile, do you see that maybe now with this little bit of normality that is prevailing right now in Ghana, that might just spur them on? Or this is completely a different matter. It's a Ghana that we have to maybe read from what we saw in the Nations Cup. Yes, some new faces thereabout, but I think the usual suspects are still donning the jerseys of the Black Stars.
I mean, I've just seen the starting lineup now that they've put out, captained obviously by Dede Ayu.
Yes.
Richard Ofori.
Marisburg goalkeeper there.
Yes, as their number one. If you look at just some of the few players that you would expect there, the likes of Jordan Ayew,
Yes.
Emmanuel Boateng, Thomas Partey, but there are a lot of changes
Yes.
that they've made. You can see that this is a man who's under pressure.
Yes. Kwesi
Yes. I hear that they are giving. There's a case of he has to impress in those 2 games.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I won't really look at the game against Sao Tome and Principe.
Yeah.
But the main game is
Yes,
tonight.
yes.
He has to.
The one against Bafana.
The one against Bafana, he has to get the maximum points.
Yes.
I think anything less than the maximum points
Is
against Bafana
Yes,
tonight
yes.
is going to be very difficult for him. And
Definitely.
remember, there's enough time between now and the next AFCON qualifiers. The next AFCON qualifiers will only come next year around August. Because the March, I think the March international break will be for World Cup qualifiers. So even between now and March, there's enough time.
There's enough time
You know, if
for the new
for the
administration.
administration.
Because this is a new administration
yes.
that might want their own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And also heed
and
to
yes.
the public
Yes.
call
And-
that they don't want this coach
Yes,
anymore.
and remember, it was for the first time Ghana had missed qualifying to the World Cup since 2006 when they couldn't go to to Russia last year. So those are the things, and he had been part of. In fact, he did coach the team in 2014 in Brazil. So I feel that the man is under pressure, and unfortunately, he's up against a team that is comfortable playing away than at home. In Bafana Bafana. If we look at the results of Bafana Bafana in official matches, they are unbeaten in the last 6 matches. Oga there will tell you the story.
Will I testify?
You know,
But
Oga
no,
there-
for me,
We saw them in the qualifiers. You're talking about the qualifiers or
for me, one
in
thing-
terms of
one thing I
generally
know-
playing?
No,
you know,
we're
one
talking
thing I
about
know.
official matches.
One thing
Official,
I know,
yeah. So you can't the AFCON one.
one thing I know is that
Are you counting the AFCON one? We saw them out at AFCON there.
one thing I know.
No, that's no. No. We saw them out at AFCon.
Ghana now.
No, one thing I
Just
one,
not something very-
one thing I know is that Kwesi is the fallback guy too in Ghana
Yeah, because I
football.
wanted to ask you that
Yeah.
question.
Whenever things are very tough, when they are going through turmoil, he
He's an scapegoat.
has been that gentleman who would come up, take up the mantle, stabilize the ship, and then when they are able to identify a foreign coach, they bring the foreign coach. So yes, he cannot be in the good books of so many Ghanaians because he's a little bit, he's quite firm in his decision making. He's not always swayed by the fan favorites.
By public opinion.
Yes, he can make his decision like we saw. He
the
had
captaincy.
he had to to remove the captain armband from Guyana. And then didn't go well. Even the president came on to insist that he has to be the president. But I was impressed when he said, no, I've made my choice of the captain. You can make him a general captain. Whatever it meant, he stood his ground. So for me, in this case, Ghana is going through a rebuilding phase. He has been part of the furniture of the Ghana football. All the successes of qualifying, all this time, he has been part and parcel of that Black Stars. Yes, there are those lulling calls to say that, no, he should step aside. Yes, we have always heard that. But if you look at the players that have gone through his hand to be where they are, I think if given a full backing that they can give to a foreign coach, and he is trusted, I think can take them to places.
Timothy, all backing you need as a coach is winning. And I think this game today, the starting today with Bafana, is going to be very difficult.
But you
because
see,
they're playing at home,
but
West Africa. No, as a coach,
Etafia.
if you win,
Etafia.
there's no.
Etafia.
Is here. There's no way.
Etafia. There are 3
Nobody's
weeks.
going to be against you.
Etafia.
Because result, in terms of the national team you play after 2 months, after 3 months.
Yeah.
You see, so they judge you with the last game you
know,
played.
Exactly.
You see, and if you go to a tournament,
Save for Nigeria, which
No.
which
Leave
just,
Nigeria-
which
leave
just,
Nigeria
which
out of
just
this.
imports players from Europe
no.
and put
He
them.
said
on the
they're
field.
Nigerians.
We are having
Are
Ghana,
they not
which has been
Nigerians?
in disarray.
They
have not
you're
been
saying that
having
you're
a league.
importing players.
All
So
right.
what Mr. Lester want to understand?
People have to be
These
realistic.
importing players, are they Nigerians or we nationalizing them?
Okay, all right, gentlemen. I think we all agree that there is immense pressure on the coach for whatever reasons.
Yeah.
You can look at it in so many ways, whether he has failed whatever that he has at his disposal, whether the players are delivering or not, or maybe the circumstances never helped him. But now let's look at Bafana.
Yeah.
Yes, new coach in charge, first competitive match, Molefe Nseki. Your thoughts on how this game will maybe determine his career as Bafana Bafana coach, a win, a lose. What would it mean for a coach of his caliber?
For me, I mean, he's one of the most humble guy, I've ever seen. For me personally, I want him to
if
do
result
well.
don't go his way,
No, result, you're going to be judged.
No.
No. You're going to be judged by result.
Because
And-
you started by saying most humble guy. I
Yeah,
want to understand
no.
how is it going to help
I'm just
you
saying, sometimes
being humble?
Okay, let me go to the
Thank
to
you.
the game. For him, he has done well with the friendly game he played. Not
Okay.
easy team
Against
against
Mali,
Mali.
yes.
He won that game.
Yes.
It was a
And they were
top
tested.
Yes, yes,
game.
top team.
It's not
Yes.
against Ghana. I could have wished for him to get a lot of friendly game before this game. To get a little bit of combination. You cannot use one. When they played last month. Is last 2 months?
Yes.
So now they're playing the qualifiers. These are the main qualifiers. And playing in Ghana, okay, most of the players they have already used to in the Champions League, Confederations Cup, So I just feel like today is going to be a tough game. What you mustn't be judged with just this game alone.
You mustn't give it time.
you
Whatever
mustn't give
happens.
it No. Depends how you lose. You see, in this industry, as a coach of the national team,
Now Etafia
So you want to see?
I want to see a result.
Etafia is wrapping up losing. Losing is losing.
No,
Etafia.
I don't want him to lose.
No, but
The result,
listen.
the
You're
good-
saying the way you lose. Okay.
The way you lose,
way you
losing is
you
losing.
can't lose
Etafia.
5-0.
No.
You can't lose the
Alright.
5-0 and say no, we must be happy.
No.
I hear you.
Bafana
Etafia.
in this continent now.
Etafia.
They owns their ground to go any place in Africa here to get a win.
Okay.
So getting a draw
Etafia.
won't be bad.
Okay,
Etafia,
let
I want
me-
to correct you.
Okay.
A loss is a loss, irrespective.
No.
No. Stop.
So in the
Stop
context-
packaging this.
losing one
Timothy,
knee.
in the
Yes.
context of the new coach, and
Yes.
I want very little to help me here. Is a new coach who's coming. In terms of the first game, friendly game, very good. Now looking this game very way, playing against the Ghana side in their own backyard, a coach that maybe people are like waiting to see. And I'm sure they saw a glimpse of his approach. And I think they liked the way he approached the game against Mali. Now, looking at this game against Ghana, if the result is not favorable, but in terms of the bigger picture, what kind of a coach maybe can we expect? And in terms of the support that needs to come towards him, is it sometimes where maybe the fans have to say that, look, let's give him that opportunity to make sure that he imposes his way of doing things?
Yeah, that's a very good question because, firstly, we have the majority of a football fan base. We're not really into African football.
Yes.
We don't really understand what African football is all about. To them, African football is when their teams are only playing, but they are not exposed to what the African game is all about. What I can say about so the fan base, you find that sometimes in terms of how their judgment is just about their team.
Yeah.
But
the player
not-
is not playing there.
Yeah.
But what I can say is that the same man we're talking about, he was part of Sheikh Mashaba's technical team, and also Stuart Baxter's technical team,
Yeah.
as the main assistant to Stuart Baxter. When all these other results that we're talking about now, Bafana Bafana's record, especially away, so he's been part of the system. One of the things that he has been saying, especially this week before he left, and even when he's there already, is to say, we are taking a point to Ghana. What we must ensure is that we don't leave this point behind. If possible, let's add 2 and come back. Now that tells you, if it was just another new coach, maybe he will just be saying, no, we're going there to upset Ghana. But he understands the dynamics of African football. Because the dynamics of African football is very difficult to win away.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very difficult. And also depending on the type of opposition as well.
You play, yeah.
So you need to be very smart,
Yeah.
especially in a close international week like this,
Yeah. Yeah.
where you've got, they have to drive immediately after the game and go and sleep in Accra, drive for 2 hours,
To fly.
and sleep in Accra, fly out in the morning, be back here at home tomorrow evening by 6 p.m., and they only have one training session on Friday on Saturday afternoon.
Okay,
You
that one.
understand?
Every national team.
So no.
No, every
Wait.
national team can
No,
go through
yes,
that.
yeah,
Some
no.
travel.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand, and it's happening to most national teams.
Yeah.
Same story for Ghana. You know.
Yeah.
So that is not an excuse.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that, so you've got to be very smart as the technical team.
Yeah.
As to, do you really need 3 points from Ghana? You know, what is important is that your approach. But as they would say in my language, if you can lasha.
If it
Border
is
to
there,
border.
So what I'm saying-
But what I can tell
Yeah.
is that I'm just trying to give you his way of thinking.
Yes. No, I think
And,
he's
and
short.
also, even if you look, even with the selection as well,
Yeah, you can see.
the majority of the players are players who've been there.
Yeah.
You know, and these are the
For
players
me-
who know.
Tested players.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
he was saying, if you notice, Shanti and Mkhize were not part of.
The friendly
Yes.
games.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you said this week it's important that I come with experienced players
Yeah.
who know what's needed.
Timothy, just to wrap it up, this match, want to move on to the Algeria game. Your last comments on that. Now, but looking at this coach, who I think in a way, in terms of qualification for 2021 Cameroon, it's Bafana that qualified last time around. Without so much problems. Yes, they needed the last game in against Libya to make sure that they go through. And if you look at the continuity, in terms of even the selection, he hasn't changed much. If you look at it honestly, he hasn't changed much. Is that something positive in terms of approaching this? Because it's not a coach who has come and said, "Look, made some changes," but I see this continuity in selection, in whatever that is doing. Maybe he's changed the way that they are playing, the playing style. But I think he's a coach that, I like the humbleness, cool, calm and collected, who seems to know what he's doing. And I'm sure he's a coach that needs to be given time in Bafana structure.
Smart coach.
Yeah, I agree.
Not making wholesale changes. He has been part of the system as well as has alluded to the fact, and he has maintained the core. And let's not forget that almost half the team has gone through his hands, through the development structures. So you have players who will try to play for the coach before they play for Bafana, for South Africa as a country. So that helps much as a coach. You need to win over your players to play for you, first and foremost. And he has got that well. Another point that, another characteristic that I've picked up from him is his good public relationship with the rest of other coaches. I think
That's a good thing.
His relationship with
with
Middlesbrough.
Do you know who was watching the Sudan yesterday?
No.
I think that's the technical one for Chiefs.
Walter Steinbock.
Yes.
And
So
the man who sat here the other day were with him, Kevin Johnson.
Kevin Johnson.
Wow.
So
Wow.
and you
That's
hear
great.
and you
That's
hear
great.
and you hear him saying, South Africa, we need to hire Benny McCarthy as one of our representative in Europe to try and have a look at different players in Europe. So it's trying to create a pool of an environment that can enable Bafana to get back to where they belong.
Yes.
So for me, going into the Ghana game, having played in Kumasi, it's not a very hostile environment.
Timothy, who said that to you?
I've played
Any West African, West. This AFCON qualifiers. This is not a friendly game.
Let me tell you the
This
difference.
3 points is at stake.
Let me tell you the
And
difference.
the way you start at home
At this
is
moment
very important.
in time, this is what I'm telling you. It's not a hostile environment. That's why
It is to say Bafana, no, it's nice, come play nice
The Ghana
football.
fans right now,
Yeah.
the Ghana fans now are putting pressure on the Black Stars. The Black Stars prefer playing away from home. And with Kumasi crowd, if you play better football, they will sit back and appreciate football. That is to the advantage
Timothy,
of a visiting team.
That was
I've
20 years
witnessed-
backward when you played in
even
Kumasi.
today, even
Not
now.
now.
Even now.
Okay, as you
it's,
finish
it's,
up-
it's a
as you
culture of
finish
Ghana.
up-
They appreciate good football. So if
Timothy,
Bafana-
that player's going to be hostile today. There's no way. These qualifiers,
Right,
3
let
points.
me hear from you, Timothy. Your prediction, please, for tonight's game.
No, for a shock, I'm giving it to Bafana.
Bafana.
Yeah.
Greg Itavia.
For me, it's going to be a very difficult game for Bafana. I think Ghana will take this one.
Ghana will take this one. I'll ask very late the next game that we're going to do a preview. Gentlemen, we are focusing now on
No,
Algeria.
you should give us his prediction.
No, I'm not going to ask for prediction this one. I want this one that we are doing now. Algeria versus
500,
Zambia.
No, we can't.
betting.
No, betting.
No, but
No.
No, bet. All right.
No, bet.
Now,
He's not sure of his answer.
no.
He's not sure of his prediction.
I just say Ghana will take this one.
let's look
Yeah,
at
so you're not sure of your answer.
What do you next week on Thursday?
Watch out,
Chipolo Polo are going all the way to Algeria.
Yeah.
The last team to beat Algeria in their own backyard.
Let me
20.
give you the starting lineup. I saw the starting
Yes,
lineup of
Chipolo Polo versus Algeria. Yeah, no, Chipolo Polo, I can tell you, look, they did well in that 2018 World Cup qualifiers where they beat Algeria back to back, home and away.
Yeah.
The likes of Patson Daka, Enoch Mwepu, who of course will be sorely missed as they are representing Zambia under 23 in Egypt. They would have loved to be there. The Agrich Young coached Zambia, but
Don't
look at
forget the
Algeria.
under 23 against the Zambia.
Yes.
We sort them out.
You said that, okay.
Oh, yeah,
Good.
yeah.
But Timothy, look at Algeria. Or Velile, as you
Yeah.
take us through the lineup.
Yes, they've got Tosta and Sabata.
Yes.
I think Kennedy Mwene has he retired or?
No.
I think
He's not invited in
yeah,
this
Not
game.
invited.
in this
oh.
game, yes.
Okay, and then they've got Lawrence Chungu, Kabaso Chongo,
Yes.
Tandi Mwape, Stopila Sunzu.
Sunzu, yeah.
is still there.
Quality.
Nathan Sengala.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised to see him.
Well, sometime he might be in South Africa. Okay.
Salolani Piri.
Yes, the Polokwane City midfielder.
Yes, Justin Shonga.
Shonga, Orlando Pirates striker.
Yeah, they cannot start at Paris, but him and Mulenga are starting
They're
here.
starting there.
Augustine Mulenga.
What are you
Yes,
suggesting?
Mulenga again.
Clystos Chama.
Yes.
Triple C.
Yes.
Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised.
Don't be surprised again. Watch this space. That's what Vele said.
January is not
And
far.
Evans Kangwa,
And Evans
the man who signed for Paris but never played for Paris.
Yeah, so that is the starting lineup. But looking at Algeria, Velile again, they are the champions right now. Really, they did so well, surprised everyone. It's a team that had underperformed, but I think they just showed their class. They've got the likes of the captain Riyad Mahrez, Baghdad Buneja, Youssef Belaili. They are dubbed right now the best three front runners there. But yes, playing at home, a lot of confidence, a lot of expectations from Algeria to make sure that they put one past Zambia. But it won't be an easy encounter facing Chipolo Polo.
Not at all. You know, African games are very tough. I watched a game between Senegal yesterday and Congo Brazzaville. And as much as it was an easy start for the Teranga Lions playing at home, they raced into a 2-0 lead.
Yeah.
But as the game progressed, it became very difficult. And I remember, but this is a different Algerian team.
Yeah.
I remember Algeria, they played a qualifier, a World Cup qualifier against Zambia. They lost that game, by the way. And Zambia at that time, I think Watson Nyarenda was still the coach.
Yeah, coached by Watson
Yes, and he threw in most of these youngsters.
Yeah,
who
youngsters.
were playing
Yeah.
in the under
Yes, they just come from the under 20 World Cup.
Yes.
Yes.
They played the Fashion Sagalas.
Yes, Enoch Mwepu.
Enoch Mwepu,
Yes.
Betson Daka, 2017 AFCON Youth Player of the Year,
Yes.
and Banda as well. But that was then. This is a different
Team. Now.
Algeria, this
Yeah.
one.
Yes.
You know, at the AFCON, you could see.
Maturity.
You know, you could see something. And also, you see, this Algerian team is not a team that has just been made now. You know, it's a team that has been coming up. You look at the goalkeeper Mbohi.
Yeah.
You look at Slimani.
Slimani,
You know,
yes.
you look at Brahimi.
Yassim Ibrahim.
You know,
yes.
Even Mahrez. You know, so these players have been there. But
Faguli.
yes, I mean Sofiane Faguli. I remember he came to play here against Bafana at Orlando Stadium back then, and he's been one of the star players even when he was still at Valencia at that time. So also Jamal Belmadi. I think he's been unbeaten for a very long time since he took over that Algerian team, and I mean he only finished the year recently as a coach, and already he's won an AFCON title.
Yes.
You know, so this is a very strong
Algerian side.
Algerian side. But Chipolopolo is hurt by not appearing at the AFCON tournament this year. They are very hurt, and you
And
I've
also
se-
2017.
yes,
Twice.
twice.
In a row.
So I've seen the way they've been trying to prepare Sudesh Singh.
Yes, he's there.
He's there
Yes.
as a technical
Yeah, he's
advisor.
there. It's a strong technical team that they've had.
Yeah. And I think he also brought a match performance analyst as well from here in South Africa, as well as the conditioning coach as well. But I saw that the current coach is the coach of the Green Eagles, Chiangi. He's a
Agri.
caretaker coach.
Agri
And
Chiangi.
guess what? Today, Faz, the Zambian Football Association, they advertised
Yes.
the national team
Position.
coaching post. But I saw something there that is really surprising.
I saw that advert.
Yeah, 10,000 USD.
$10,000. I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm sure that is a salary, or even coaches in the Glad Africa are earning more than that.
Yeah, no, I think we saw that. So it's a coachless Chipolopolo. Of course, another member of the technical
What
team
an-
is George
what an advert.
Luandamina, who is the technical advisor. But I think Agri Chiangu has done well. Hasn't lost since taking over.
Yeah.
On a caretaker basis.
Yeah.
He's doing well, of course, with his club, Green Buffaloes, in the CAF Champions League. But yes, it's a different ball game altogether.
Yeah.
Coming up against, like you say, it's a different Algeria. Playing at this stadium, Stade Mustafa Chakar in Blida. Understand they haven't lost in this stadium. 30 matches, Algeria hasn't lost. But yes, team, if you look at Chipolopolo missing out on 2 editions of the AFCON, they are the 2012 champions, of course. Now, yes, looking as if maybe in terms of the coaching department, that hasn't been sorted. And again, you wouldn't want to bring a new coach in the middle. But like Vele said as well, we take it back to that period. That period where between now, when they finish these 2 games, there will be ample time for Zambia, as it has been advertised, to bring in a new coach so that at least their campaign won't be full of any disruptions.
Look, Lester, I think if my mind serves me well, they try to reach out to Nyirenda, who is the current coach of Baroka, to try and go back to the national team. But also it shows shambolic administration when it comes to the national team having a crucial game at this particular moment in time, and you're placing an advert for a national team coach.
Yeah, no.
The timing.
That is typical
It's just demoralizing.
That's
It's
typical.
just demoralizing on the part of
that is
the
typical.
man in charge at the
Yes,
moment.
yes. And
Because the least you could have done, maybe even wait and
Exactly,
see how the
because
games. Because they are also.
when you when you operate under such circumstances, any good coach that would love to have taken over Zambia as a national team will have to look at that and say, okay, listen, they have a coach right now, but already they are saying they are sending him away even when he has got a crucial game like this. So for me, those are the administrative hindrances that you encounter. Zambia as a country is a football country. They are starved of success. You know, when you're a footballing country, there is a tendency to think that automatically you have to be somewhere. They always forget that there is preparation, there is a process to build a team. And that's what Nyirenda did. He did build a team. At the moment when they missed qualification, they pushed him out. And I think...
No, he resigned.
Yes, that is a diplomatic word
No,
of
no,
being
he
pushed
resigned.
out.
He's
A diplomatic
resigned.
word of being pushed out. So when you can't tell me that somebody can resign from the national team and take up a position at Baroka, you know, when you can read between the lines, something's not right. So, and now they want him back. So that is what is very interesting. So for me, it was in a very bad taste to place that advert. They're playing Algeria, the reigning African champion. It's a mom game. So for me, if I'm in the shoes of a technical team of a coach of Zambia, I would try to go there and protect what I have in the bag, and that's the 1 point.
All right, your prediction?
I'll give it to Algeria.
Algeria. Velile, your prediction? Algeria versus Zambia.
It's a draw.
It's a draw.
Algeria.
Greg, you give it to Algeria.
Yeah.
Close it for us. Repeat up.
A very strong Bafana Bafana starting lineup.
Tell us this Bafana starting lineup.
In fact, if I look at this team, this is the team that lined up against Egypt
Okay.
at the AFCON, with the exception of Grobler, with the exception of Mukeke.
Okay.
Otherwise,
That team that played against.
it's Williams. The back four is Hlachwayo, Mkize, Slanti, and Mkhonazi. So
Mato makes way.
Surprise, yeah.
And-
Surprising.
And in the midfield, he's got a wall there. He's got Zungu, he's got
Tin Femen.
Mukeke, he's got Tin Femen. With Tau, Loch, and Grobler.
Yeah, that's more like it when you're playing away from home.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think the coach is in the right direction. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's not too excited. But again, just having this cautious approach, but at the same time making sure that he's got those attacking weapons, if needed, to make sure that they can kill off any resistance that is coming out from Ghana. Gentlemen, we've come to the end of our show. We want to thank you, our listeners. It was a pleasure to be in your midst, and of course to thank these guys, Greg Itafia, Veli Lemnyandu, as well as
I'm not saying you must
Timothy.
laugh. I'm not saying you must laugh. No? Comoros is leading 1-0 against Togo.
Yeah, it's definitely something is cause for love. But that is football. Comoros leading 1-0 against Togo. We leave you with that scoreline until we meet again. This is African
now
football.
Uganda, they played 0
Have a very good evening.
That's a very important result. What?
Again,